Greetings, folks. It's Ian from RTL here. Welcome to another Saturday Madness with Richard. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Ian. How are you today on this fine and sunny morning?
It is. It's beautiful here. It's going to be really hot. So poor old Rocky had to go out early. He was not impressed. I got him out of bed and he weren't impressed. Anyway, lesson what about Rocky. Today we are carrying on with number 2 hit singles from the decades. And today we've gone for the 1970s. Now, I've just said to Richard, I could have done 50 here. It was so easy. But it was hard to put together a 10.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll go the usual thing. Richard goes first, then me, and then we'll do our bubbling unders. And I think there's a lot of bubbling unders today, but we're going to sort of go through, if we've mentioned them, we're going to cross off our bubbling under so we don't repeat ourselves. Exactly. So it's over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think we are going to match in a couple in our top 10, actually.
Yeah.
And as I said to you before we started, I'm only including one song per artist. Okay, my number 10 is from 1977, and I got to number 2 for 1 week. Although half of Britain, or even more than half of Britain, knows it actually got to number 1, but they wouldn't declare it as number 1, and that is the Sex Pistols' God Save the Queen, which is absolutely brilliant. Those 4 singles of Never Mind the Bollocks are fantastic. And I know it's not real, it's a dig at the Queen, but it's more a dig at the actual whole royal institution rather than the Queen. And I just think it's fantastic, and it gets my number 10.
Yes, it should have been. It was number 1. If you look at the figures, because I looked at that, that's one off my list. It sold more than what was number 1.
That was Rod Stewart, I think it was.
But Rod Stewart was a bit more establishment, wasn't he?
Yes, of course, yes.
Great choice. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, I'm starting off in 1976. And Let Them In by Wings.
All right, very good.
It was 3 weeks at number 1. It was kept off the top by another great record, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, Elton John and Kiki D.
Yeah. 3 weeks at number 2. You corrected me last week. I'm correcting you this week.
Is it?
You said 3 weeks at number 1. I got to number 2.
We've done so much of number 1s, it's hard to... Yeah. Number 2. We're doing number 2s.
I really like it.
What a great song. Ding dong, all the pop stars in the thing, the military drum.
The military drum is brilliant. I really do love that part of the song. It's what really does make it for me. I think it's fantastic. But I didn't pick it. So it just goes to show how strong the field was.
Yes.
I have a feeling you might have this one in your top 10. My number 9 for 2 weeks in 1974 is a band that has been getting a lot of talk lately on the VC, and it is Sparks, and This Town Ain't Big Enough for the bus. Which is brilliant. And I do remember it on Top of the Pops at the time. I was 8 years old. You were a few months younger than me. And to be honest with you, Ron Mail scared the living daylights out of me. The look of him, it was a mixture between Hitler and Charlie Chaplin. But it wasn't just the little moustache, it was the look he gave you. He gave you a look of pure evil. And he's actually a very, very funny guy. So he is, if you ever hear interviews, he's very funny. But I love Sparks. I love that album. And This Town is a fantastic single. I've got to number 2 for 2 weeks in 74.
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much because you're right. But yes, but yeah, they're great, and that new album's just brilliant.
It is very good.
Yes.
It is very good.
Yeah, what a great choice. My number 9, 1972 now, and a certain Reggie Dwight, and his song Rocket Man. 1 week at number 2. But guess what kept it off top spot? T-Rex's Metal Guru.
Yes, that's correct, actually, yes.
So you don't mind being at number 2 when you've got a great number 1. So
I'm not going to say much about that song either. I'm telling you, we're going to match them
I
quite.
just love it. It's an epic. That
Yeah.
How the hell did they release that as a single? Because it should have never been released because it's not a poppy song. It's just an epic song from Elton.
But it does have a really good, catchy chorus. It really does.
Yeah.
And he played it at Live Aid as well. So 1985 in Live Aid, the amount of songs he could choose from, and he made sure Rocket Man was played, which was great.
It's a great record.
Well, my number 8 is from 1979 and only 1 week at number 2, and it's my favorite Blondie single of all time, and it is Dreaming. And it's got those fantastic drums by, is it Clem Burke?
Yeah.
And Debbie Harry's vocals are absolutely brilliant, and it's such a melodic song, and I love it. I think it was kept off the top, I'm not 100% sure, by the Police Message in a Bottle, which is even better, so I didn't mind that. But it is my favourite Blondie single. It's from Eat to the Beat, and it only stayed in the charts for about 8 weeks or something like that there, which is a shame because it is one of their best. And they were on fire at the time. They'd just come off Heart of Glass, although I think the first single was Union City Blue, which didn't do as well. It just got top 20. But Dreaming is brilliant, and Debbie looked gorgeous as well, and just a fantastic song. So that's my number 8.
Yeah, I haven't got that one, but it was sort of on the paper. But yeah, it's one of the most underrated singles. Everyone forgets that song. I do love the Clem's drumming, that roll. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a great choice. My number 8, I go to 1974. And I don't think we could have not had this top 10 without Slade being mentioned. And it's Far, Far Away from Slade in Flame. Brilliant song.
So brilliant.
2 weeks at number 2, kept off by Ken Booth's version of Everything I Own, which I don't like because there's only one man that can sing it, and that's David Gates, because it's about his dad. It's very personal, that song. And I hate it when people say, oh, yeah, that great record that Ken Booth. Hello? He didn't write it. David Gates did. And I go, how do you know? Are you sure? Damn well you
are. Even worse is, that great single by Boy George.
Yeah.
Because he had a number 1 with it as well.
Yeah, David Gates didn't care, though. Thank you very much. Yeah.
No, Far, Far Away is a fantastic song. Didn't get my top 10, but it can't get my bubbling unders either, which means some band's going to be in my top 10. Yes. But my number 7, and I don't know how to describe this, it's almost like R&B pop. And I absolutely love this. It got to number 1. Number 2. I'm making the mistake now. For 1 week in 1976. It's one of the catchiest songs you'll ever hear. And it's Billy Ocean, Love Really Hurts Without You. And it's breaking my heart.
Yeah, it's going down my head now.
I absolutely love that song. It's one of those songs that if I make a compilation tape or a CD for the car, it has to be played about 3 times in a row. I keep skipping back. Love it. Absolutely love it. I like this other one as well, Red Light.
Stealth Danger. Yeah. Very catchy tunes.
Yeah. Love Really Hurts Without You is an absolutely fantastic pop single, and it gets my number 7.
Yeah, my number 7, one of your favourite artists, David Bowie. 1972. Da-da-da-dum. Genie. Love that opening riff. It just blows you away. Kept off number 1 by Jimmy Osmond's Long Hair Lover from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I think it was also kept off number 1 by Blockbuster by The Sweet as well. And they're both exactly the same riff.
Yeah, but yeah, I would have had my head to be kept off number 1 by one of the Jimmy Osmond of all people. So I hate that song. I really hate it. It cringes me.
Jimmy Osmond also kept that song kept T-Rex's Solid Gold Easy Action off number 1 too.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely abysmal, isn't it?
You know what? I don't even have the David Bowie, Gene Genie, Even in My Bubbling Unders.
Wow.
It's never been one of my favorite. I really do like it, but I always prefer Driving Saturday. Always preferred it.
Yes.
And because it sounded so similar to Blockbuster and the Yardbirds version of I'm Your Man, it just didn't quite get in. Well, my number 6 is actually the last number 2 of 1970s. It's also the first number 2 of the 1980s, and I nearly included it in the last one we did. And it stayed at number 1 for 4 weeks.
Number 2?
Yeah.
We're doing
Yes. I can't help it either. Stayed at number 2 for 4
Oh,
and it was kept off the top by Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall. And of course, I have to have it. And it's one of my top 5 singles by one of my favorite bands, and it's ABBA, I Have a Dream. Now, I absolutely adore this. I adore Frida's voice in it. She takes the lead on it. And whenever Westlife did a dreadful version of it, it didn't even put me off the song whatsoever, because I just dismissed, I closed my ears to the Westlife song. And it too, I Have a Dream, is one of those I have to play over and over again. Yes, it is syrupy. It's really, really sweet, but I love it. But you know, I absolutely love ABBA anyway, so it gets my number 6.
yeah, it's a great song. Benny coming up with delivering the goods again. He was good at writing rockers. He was good at writing sentimental, and that is very sentimental. And he just knows how to do it. Lovely textures on the keyboards. Fantastic song. Okay, my number 6 is the very first single that I ever brought, and I brought this in 1975 by The Sweet. And it's Fox on the Run.
Yeah,
2
brilliant.
weeks at number 2. And I also brought the number 1 song at the same time, which was Bye Bye Baby, Bray City Rollers. I did love Fox on the Run. I love the album version because it's heavier, but I do love the single version with that lovely keyboard they put at the beginning of it. Really is good. And you still got Mick Tucker doing what he does best, thumping the drum, not playing it, thumping it.
I do think, though, I like the album version as well, but if it had been released as a single, it wouldn't have done as well.
No.
I think they did a really good job on the remake for the single, and it is brilliant. I agree. Well, my number 5 got to number 2 for 1 week in 1974, and it's written by one of my favorite songwriters, Albert Hammond, along with Mike Hazelwood. And it's the Hollies, The Air That I Breathe, which I think is a fantastic song. I used to have this, I still actually have it, 20 smash hits, one of those Ronco things. And the Hollies was the first track on side 2, and it is brilliant. And now the version the Hollies did is not the same as Albert Hammond's original. But because the Hollies version is so good, whenever Albert Hammond plays it in concert now, he copies the Hollies version rather than his own version. And it's just a fantastic song. I'm not a huge Hollies fan. I don't mind a couple of their 60 singles. But this one there that I breathe really stands out for me. And it's a brilliant song. And I guess my number 5.
Yeah, I saw a interview and Herb said about he thinks it's probably the best cover of one of his songs.
Yeah, oh, it is.
Right, then harmonies.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. It is brilliant.
Alan
Clark's voice is fantastic on it.
Yeah, absolutely great choice. My number 5 starts like this.
I know what it is. She's the queen.
I remember seeing that on Top of the Pops, and I was with my granddad, and he goes, "Here, where's his handbag? He's got nail varnish on." That was my granddad. So sorry, that was what my granddad was, and we were talking 1974. 2 weeks at number 2, kept off the top by Davies Essex. Gonna Make You a Star, which again is a great song.
Yeah, it's not a bad song, but Killer Queen's far better.
Yeah.
It is far better.
Brilliant song. Should have got to number 1. I prefer it to Bohemian Rhapsody, actually.
Well, I could argue that one with you, but still. It's a great song. Well, my number three, you've already mentioned them, but it's a different
Three?
song.
Am I?
No, my number four. Sorry, my number four. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here. My number four, you've already mentioned them, and it's Slade, but the one I'm picking is Goodbye to Jane in 1972 for 1 week. It is my favourite Slade single. I love the drums at the start with Dawn Powell, and the song is so catchy, and the chorus, I say you're so young, so you just keep singing and singing and singing, and you want it to go on forever. It's an absolutely brilliant glam rock single. It deserved to get to number one, and I can't remember what kept it off, but still, part of me likes the fact that it only got to number two because it makes it even a little bit more special because they had 6 number ones. And Goodbye to Jane is my all-time favourite, so it gets my number four.
Yeah, I love that song, and I love it live. I mean, in that Slade box set, it's the one that's done in this minus thing, and it's absolutely brilliant. The drums, that drum even sounds boomier.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if you ever watch YouTube, there's a concert from 1981. Well, it shows you them Slade doing Goodbye to Jane, and the energy that Jim Lee puts into it is absolutely brilliant. And this is 1981. It's absolutely fantastic. They speed it up a little bit, but Jim and Dave are jumping all over the place playing. Absolutely brilliant.
I think they love playing that one. I think every time you see a clip of them, even when they were miming on top of the pops, they were having a great time. It's just a good stomper, isn't it? Great choice. My number four is one that you've already mentioned. Sparks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, oh my God, what was that all about? He scared at me, but I love Ron Mayle. I think he's 77 years old, and he's still doing that silly dance on stage, and it's fantastic. Yeah, kept off number one by the Rubettes, Sugar Baby Love.
I like it as well, but it's not in the same league.
Yeah, there's a version that Sparks did with Faith No More of that, and that's
terrible. Terrible.
And then Justin Hawkins did one, that dart thing. That was cheesy. Didn't like that. So yeah, I like the Faith No More version.
No.
Yeah, it's a great track, and it's always been one of my favourite Sparks songs ever.
Okay, excellent choice. My number three is number one for 1 week in 1971, although the song was released in October 1970. And it took ages and ages and ages to get to number one, or number two, and it stayed for 1 week, as I said. This is so confusing. And it's T-Rex's Ride a White Swan, with that absolutely beautiful little guitar lick. It's very gentle, it's not offensive, and yes, Mark is still kind of in his Tyrannosaurus Rex days, singing about, Beltane and elves and all those Tolkien type mythical creatures. But I just think it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful song. And Morrissey stole the riff for it for his song Certain People I Love, or Certain People I Know, which I actually love as well. But Ride a White Swan for me is about 2 minutes and 11 seconds of just beautiful, beautiful music. Brilliant song.
Yeah, I love that song. And when I went to see T-Rex the other week, I'll tell you what, Cisse Daniels is a good guitarist. He actually plays that lick even better than Mark.
There you go. I know.
I was listening there. Ooh, that was good. Yeah, great song. I love that song. Short, sweet, but straight to the point.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, my number three is from 73. Was 1 week at number two. The man that wore leather gloves and rings reinvented himself so many times, from Shane Fenton to Coo. I love that song. Absolutely brilliant. 1 week at number two. Kept off someone we was talking about on the live stream, Mr. Gary Glitter.
Yes,
I love me.
Yeah, but Gary Glitter had a couple of good number twos as well, but I didn't pick any. But
no, and I'm gonna. I don't care if people go. I did love "I Love You, Love Me." It's a great song
Sort of.
from my childhood, and I can't not dislike it just because it's a song. That's all I see it as. Anyway, my cuckoo. What a track!
The thing about my Cuckoo is, I could be wrong here, but I think I'm right. All the Stars doesn't even sing it. It's Peter Shelley that wrote it, that sings it, and he had to get somebody to mime it on Top of the Pops, and it was Elvis Stardust or Shane Fenton or is it somebody Jury, his real name.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually Peter Shelley that sings it. But obviously the next single, Jealous Mind, and everything else was Elvis Stardust.
Yeah.
I could be wrong there, but I don't think I am. But I had it in my bubbling unders as well, so I'll cross that one out because I absolutely love it too, and I loved it at the time. Right, my number two, and you've mentioned the band, but a different song, and I'm going with Queen's "Someday to Love" from 1976 for only 1 week. And this is one of their best ever singles. It's the follow-up to You're My Best Friend. It's the first single from the follow-up to A Night at the Opera, which is Day at the Races, and the gospel singing, the harmonies is absolutely brilliant. It's a Freddie Mercury masterpiece. And yeah, people don't talk about this as much as they do Bohemian Rhapsody. I think they should, because I just think it's unbelievably good. And that gets my number two.
Yeah, it is a great song. I love it live because Roger Taylor, that bit when they go boom, 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 boom. It really does echo them lovely sounds in the choir, especially when, I mean, even that Wembley tribute gig, it's good, sounded good when George sang it. My number two, we've already mentioned him a couple of times, from 1971. 1 week at number two, my favourite T-Rex song, Jeepster.
Yeah.
Kept off the top spot by Slade's "'Cause I Love You."
Yes, that's right.
Out of the two, should have been Jeepster.
For me, it would have been Jeepster as well. But was Jeepster not kept off the top by was it either Ernie, the fastest milkman in the West?
I think I may have done. I know there was one that, and Grandad kept him off number one as well.
That I think might have kept Ride a White Swan off the top. I'm not too sure. I get confused with them all, but
yeah.
There's a few novelty records that kept T-Rex off the top. Like Jeepster is an absolutely fantastic song, even though the riff of it is completely stolen from a Howlin' Wolf track, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's brilliant. So my number one, you've already mentioned it, and it's Elton John's Rocket Man from 1972. You said everything I wanted to say. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's one of the best ever singles of the 70s. Never mind number two. So just straight to the point, Rocket Man is my number one.
Hey, my number one is from 1977. And it's a prog band, a legendary prog band. And it is ELP's Fanfare for a Common Man. Now, that was the song that really got me into ELP as a young lad. It's only at number two for 1 week, kept off the top by Hot Chocolates, So You Win Again. I love that. I mean, it's a great interpretation of a brilliant piece of classical music, I think. And that's one thing Keith Emerson was absolutely brilliant at, taking a classic piece of music and turning it into a rock song. Brilliant song.
Oh, I enjoy it as well. That's from The Works, isn't it?
Yes, from the first Works album.
Yeah,
You've got the single version, and then you've got the full Monty drums and wizardry. Brilliant track.
Well, I'll run through some of my bubbling unders, because I think we've only got about 8 minutes left or whatever.
Yes, about 8 minutes, yeah.
Okay. Now, some of these may be a bit of a surprise. I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 very quickly. 1971 for 2 weeks, believe it or not. Tony Christie, I Did What I Did for Maria And the reason why is my dad and my mum had that single, and I loved it. It was fantastic.
That's a great song. I can't agree with that.
1973 for 3 weeks at number 2, and yes, it's the Sweet, but my choice is Hellraiser, the follow-up, the blockbuster, which I always thought was better, and it's heavy as hell, absolutely brilliant. 1975 for 1 week, and it's a cover version. I think it was the Marvelettes that sang it, and it's the Carpenters, Please Mr. Postman, which I absolutely love. And I love the video whenever Richard and Karen are in Disneyland and they're going on the roundabouts and all the rest. Absolutely fantastic. 1978 for 2 weeks, and it is Clout Substitute, which I think is one of the catchiest tracks ever. It's all-girl band, and the song was written by Russ Ballard, who also, no, what was it? I'm not too sure it was. I'm not 100% sure. I know he did Since You've Been Gone for them, and then Rainbow covered it. That's where I'm getting confused. I'm not too sure who wrote Substitute.
Yeah, it's catchy, isn't it? Catchy as hell.
Really catchy. And 3 more. La Belle Epoque, Black is Black from 1977 for 3 weeks. Disco classic. Even though it got to number 2 in the 60s for Los Bravos, it's the La Belle Epoque version I really like. And then a really heartbreaking song, but I've always loved it, for 2 weeks in 1975. It's Ralph McTell's The Streets of London, which I think is a beautiful, beautiful song. And I finish off my bubbling unders, an awful lot of them this time, with Wings, but the other single from the Speed of Sound album, and it's Silly Love Songs from 1976 with Paul McCartney's bass, is brilliant. So those are all my bubbling unders.
Yeah, my one starts off with two of my favourite comic duos. 1975. In the Blue Ridge Mountains, Virginia.
Put that down.
Yeah. My next one from 75, the Glitter Band, Goodbye My Love.
Good song.
Great song. 75 again, Love Is a Drug, Roxy Music.
Yeah, I like it. It's not my favourite Roxy song, though.
1979, Kept Off the Top by Bright Eyes, Pop Music by M.
That's another brilliant one. So it is.
Yeah. I put this one in especially for Gary. 1974. Hey, rock and roll. Shawaddy.
Oh, Waddy, a great song.
Yeah, Gary loves Shawaddy Waddy, and I just threw that one in for Gary. 1977, Boney M's, Ma Baker. I love that. Put your hands in the air. I just love it. I love that track. Always love it. And my last one, a song that was kept off the top. There's 2 songs in that bubbling under, M-pop music, and this one, Some Girls Racy, which is a great track. Kept off number 1 by Bright Eyes.
But Bright Eyes is a beautiful song. You have to give it.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, but to keep 2 great tracks there. Okay, I've been told we're running out of time.
Yep.
So this, once again, Richard, this has been great. What we're going to do next then? Which decade you choose?
We'll go with the. Let's go with the 1960s.
Okay, I'll sort that out. I'll be in touch with you. I'm going to say bye before it all shuts off. So thank you very much, Richard. It was great having you on the stream on Thursday night. I'll be back tomorrow with Matt Bateson's birthday top 10. So have a good weekend, everyone. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Bye.
Bye.